Hey guys, welcome back to another quick video. Today I'll be showing how to create variations that you can use for the future of building your creations. Whatever you're trying to create, there are ways to make it much faster to recreate these in the future and to build upon the library that is available through this engine. So today I'm going to show quickly how to set up a variation. So this is going to be a getting started on creating new materials or new textures that are applied to your models. This is going to be a simple overview. There is a more advanced video for setting custom textures and setting custom materials that goes into more in depth. And so if you're interested in that video, see the link underneath for how you can get to advanced setup. But this one's going to be a little bit more simplified for the average user. So say we want to go in here and change the hair color for our beard. You can see I've already applied kind of a brown hair color to this beard, which is normally white. If we go over here to our sliders, so this is going to be under facial hair. If we remove that facial hair and add it back, you can see that the default for this facial hair is gray. And when I set this facial hair, it doesn't actually have a variation. So if we want to add our own custom variation for this model that works inside the game, all you have to do is go up here to the Variation Builder tab. And so this is going to be based on whatever you're selecting. You can set this by clicking the title of the slider. It will go and set this. And you have what's loaded here is basically two settings. The first setting, or not settings, but these are two separate things. Basically, the first one is going to be the index for the actual model. So this is a model with the material applied to it, as well as this. So you can actually go in there and change some of these things independent of each other. So it looks like they have specific ones for these beads that are added to the beard. And then they have one for the actual beard itself. So to modify this, you can go in here and press this 1, and that will select this specific material. And if we want to apply a specific color of hair to this beard, there's two ways to do this. So you can either do it by going to materials and applying a completely different material to it. So if we go in here and search hair, you can see that we actually have quite a few hair materials that come back here. So you can select any one of these. So here's like a reddish beard, and then here's another. Some of these actually might be actual hair, and so you might end up getting, by that I mean hair that's on the back of your head versus a beard. And so you can actually get different effects by loading these different materials. Looks like a lot of these are the same, so I won't waste time clicking too many of these same ones. But it does look like immediately I start to see, and make sure to read the names that are getting applied here. I have dark blonde. Looks like Juan has his own custom hair. This one's got violet in it from Lawan. And if, for example, you wanted to see specific ones for like facial hair, you could actually type in facial hair, and it will bring in all the facial hair ones. But say that we still don't really find the one that we want. Say we want to get a little bit more creative with it. We found kind of like the base, like, okay, it's good enough. But then we want to add some more detail here. So from here, you can actually go to the specific textures that are applied. So let's switch to texture. That will load in the textures that are available. And then let's click this diff. That's going to be the diffuse map. And that's where your color is going to be coming from. And then from here, you can actually now apply all of these different hair textures to our beard here. We actually find some really interesting ones. So you can see and technically, because of the way this is applied, so it's got a clipping mask and it's also got a rough and normal, you may be able to get away based on how the engine is set up with just setting this to a flat color. So instead of doing hair, you might actually be able to go in here and just type red. And set the entire beard to a specific color that you want. So if you wanted to go in here and type in green. And then another fun one is to look at the gradients. So these GRA textures. I've mentioned these before in other videos, but essentially these are gradient textures that have different color applied throughout them. And so you could end up with some very interesting highlighted hair textures here for your different facial hair. So actually probably a lot of different fun ones you could come up with by going through this list. I like a lot of these because so many of them are kind of these muted colors with like a gradient. So say we want to give him something more fun than that. Let's give him, there we go. All right, so we're going to give him this beard. And say we want to be able to come back to this. So you did all this work to go and set up these things. You want to be able to return to this immediately. What you do from here is you can press Save Variation. So when you hit Save Variation, you should hear a noise in the background. And basically over here at facial hair, what we're going to do is we're going to shift off of that facial hair and then load it back. Except the difference is now a variation slider shows back up, or shows up, and now we can apply that variation. So now this variation will be available to you in the future. So if you want to quickly load this in and go see what this looks like in the game, you now have this for the foreseeable future. If you would like to change that or update it over time, you can simply then go in here and apply more changes or set whatever things, what other things you would like to it, and you'll get those changes applied when you hit save. One thing I will note is I just noticed that the character dreadlocks hair material is applied. With certain materials, they may not have transparency automatically applied to them. So all of this is kind of trial by fire of whether it's going to work or not. And so probably the safest thing you can do is find a hair that you know will be actual hair. So again, those facial hair ones are guaranteed to be facial hair. By setting this to hair, it's the hair that's actually on the back of their heads versus what's on their face. So you can still apply it like this and then go back to texture and apply, if we select this diff again, and we'll go back to gradient and we'll apply this. Let's do something like this, super sassy. And then we'll go ahead and hit Save Variation again. You can see now that we have two different types of variations. One's on the dreadlocks, one's on hair. And so from there, you can just load into the game and switch between these two things. So you could switch to this one first, go here, hit the Save button, and then as long as it's set to player and this is set to Aiden, it's going to go load in immediately on your skeleton. So you can launch the game and go check out how that looks. I'm going to pause the recording and we're going to take a look at what this looks like in game. All right, guys, this is an example of what it looks like with the cornrow hair. As you can see, they have a very specific text or material that's applied here that's adding essentially the alpha clipping in a very unique way. So that one, like I mentioned earlier, is not a good material to use for the beard because it is applying that specific path or clipping. You can change that on the material, but what I would recommend is just switching to the actual hair material and then resaving. So if we go back to here and we just now go to our variation and switch to the second one, hit save again, and then we load back in. And if it is still loaded, so that warning that I just got was where it tried to inject into the game, but the game is still running. You can just hit save again. Once you're sure that the game is no longer running, it just finished. And so then when we hit save again, it'll load in and you can go test out this one. All right, guys, I hope this is helpful. As always, this is ongoing development. I released to the public after lots of testing with the Patreon supporters, but this is still something that is in development. So I am looking forward to your guys' feedback. Feedback is the only way that this is going to continue to expand. There's no way that I can account for every single variation you could come up with. So please let me know what your thoughts are, and I look forward to seeing what you guys created. All right, guys, stay tuned for more. Thank you.